In this video, we'll break down the AFC West, going over each team's chances in the 2021 season. We'll predict order of finish and the wildcard teams. We'll also talk about a few key fantasy players. All of that coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, let's do this. I'm so excited we're here to pick. We're going to talk about our picks for each division, give our thoughts on the division. And for those that are interested in we're going to be doing this for each division, look for the links in the description of the videos.
If you're new here, welcome to the channel. What we do during the season is talk about NFL survivor pools. We go over season-long fantasy stuff and NFL DFS. But today, Michael, is all about the divisions. It's your team's division, the AFC West.
That's right. So let's talk real quick about what happened last year. I think everybody knows that the Chiefs, who fell short in the Super Bowl, took the division with ease, ending 14-2 after a pretty tough schedule. So really impressed, but things caught up to them by time of the Super Bowl. The Raiders looked like they had a promising start, but somehow they couldn't win a game at the end of the season and ended up 8-8 to go second place. The Chargers under Herbert, who was a rookie last year, had a pretty good season, were 7-9, and the Broncos, the lowly Broncos, were 5-11.
We also want to take a look at the Las Vegas odds for 2021. And to no one's surprise, Kansas City is a heavy favorite, minus 335. What does that mean? That means you have to risk $335 to win 100 if you want to bet that Kansas City is going to win the AFC West. Denver and the LA Chargers are tied, both plus 600. Risk 100 to win 600. And Michael, they have Las Vegas, the team that finished second last year, as plus 1,800. Bet 100 to win $1,800.
Inconceivable.
All right, Michael, promise we will get to the Raiders in just a minute. I know you have a lot to say. And let's start with Kansas City. 16-2 going to the Super Bowl before they had a collapse, mostly due to that offensive line. Let's start talking about the offense. The one thing I'll give credit Kansas City, they really worked to build that offense, starting with signing Joe Thuney, trading for Orlando Brown. Michael, they had two players on the offensive line who opted out last year who are coming back. Bottom line is, I think they're going to be much improved on the offensive line than what we saw in the Super Bowl.
No, I think that's right. Andrew Wiley, my son's namesake, he re-signed, which is a good move for them. I hope to see, for Patrick Mahomes' sake, that they'll have fixed this offensive line issue. Otherwise, they're not going to repeat and even getting back to the Super Bowl. But you know, they have improved things on the defensive side. I think one of their players is out, though. I think it might be on the offensive side. Fisher, one of the linemen, is out. So we'll see what those opt-outs coming back means for things. You know, Andy Reid is a genius. He has a way of making sure that the team not only wins the division but does well in the playoffs. You know, I'm not gonna give away what I'm gonna go with, but everybody knows how this division's probably gonna end at the very top. Kansas City's gonna have a good year.
You have a situation where you got a defense which, besides the offensive line, has been the Achilles heel of this team. But they're a young defense. They have three guys who are picked in the second round who are very young. And will they step up this year? I got a question for you. There's some old veterans who are gone on the offensive side. No Le'Veon Bell, no Sammy Watkins. Will they be missed at all?
No, in fact, I think, you know, with Le'Veon Bell and some of the things he's been pulling, I think it's an upgrade to have those guys out. So, I mean, with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, what else do you really need? You know, you just need a couple other guys to throw out there. So they're going to move the ball. They're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire will really have every opportunity to shine. And then they have a nice backup in Jerick McKinnon coming over from the Niners. So All right, that's a look at Kansas City, the second place team last year. You needed a telescope to find them. They finished so far back in second place, but the Raiders. Tell us a little bit about them. What can we look for this year?
So I mean, let's not forget the Raiders were the first team to put the smackdown on the Kansas City Chiefs last year, and it looked at that point in the season that the Raiders were going to have a really good chance to not only make the playoffs, but even do some damage. And let's not forget John Gruden, even though he hasn't necessarily shown that he's a fantastic coach as he's come back, he knows every team better than perhaps anyone because of his position as an analyst before. So he's a very capable planner, but sometimes he plans around execution that can't be there. Their defense, and then let's get right to it. Their defense is still rebuilding. And then they go out and what do? They get like 16 more wide receivers. I think they added, John Brown. They added Willie Snead. Drake obviously should help a little bit on the running side, but they don't really need that with Josh Jacobs.
So they went, Michael, for quantity rather than quality with those players. I mean, they're not stars. They're kind of guys that can fill in and be okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, John Brown's got tons of speed to add him, to Ruggs. And then with the Darren Waller obviously is a star, and they got Matt Bushman from BYU, who's I think a real talent as well. But why? Why not focus on the offensive line and more so on the defensive side of the ball?
One of my biggest concerns about the Raiders is they're giving away offensive linemen as if it's Halloween to other teams. Center Rodney Harrison is gone. Right tackle Gabe Jackson is gone to the Seahawks. Right guard Trent Brown is gone. And my understanding is they did that to try to focus more to improve a little bit on the defense.
Yeah, but they haven't made lots of changes. They did pick up this edge rusher from Minnesota, Yannick. I can't say his last name. And so hopefully that will help. I think that they had a couple of draft choices that also eventually will make an impact on the defensive side, but I think they're a ways away, and it's going to be a tough year for the Raiders. Those odds, I think, are worth at least throwing a few bucks down because you never know what injuries could happen to some other teams. But I'd be shocked if the Raiders repeat their 8-8 wonderful record from last year.
And I wouldn't think 8-8 will be good enough to come anywhere close to winning the division. This isn't the NFC East. All right, let's move on to the LA Chargers, who were 7-9 last year. And Michael, it all had to do with Justin Herbert. He was the sensation, a surprise start, I think, in the second and third week due to an injury. Now, what a year he had. He broke all type of rookie records for almost anything you can think of. Passing touchdowns, total touchdowns, 300-yard games, 3 TD passes in one game, total completions. Michael, is he the real deal?
He is the real deal. I had so much fun watching him at Oregon. He's super accurate, which is, one of the key components of being successful in the NFL. And it looks like he can handle the pressure. It's not like he didn't have a little bit of rush coming at him. He did a great job. And with some of these offensive weapons, they should have Austin Eckler the whole year. Hopefully this year he coming off healthy. Keenan Allen, and they have a switch at the tight end. I think they have Jared Cook in for Hunter Henry, which may be a little bit of a downgrade, but not much. They're going to continue to be, as long as Justin Herbert is healthy and Eckler is healthy, I think it's going to be a good year.
And helping them stay healthy, they bolstered that offensive line down there in LA. They signed All-Pro center Corey Lindsey. They added guards Ode Abushi and Matt Fuller. I really like what the Charger offense looks like. But Michael, what about the defensive side?
So they did re-sign Michael Davis and Brandon F., the two corners that they had, which is great. I don't know that they made any other key additions, but obviously with Joey Bosa being as much of a talent as almost as much of a talent as his brother Nick, I feel like they're going to be able to be one of the stronger defenses in this division. Maybe not the type of defense that wins championships, but to me, the biggest change that they made this year that's impressive or going to be helpful is the coaching change to bringing Brandon Staley in from the Rams, who
number one defense Rams.
What's that?
The number one defense the Rams were.
Exactly. And so I think that is hopefully what we'll see make changes to how the Chargers run things on the defensive side of the ball.
All right. So let's move on to the Denver Broncos. Michael, how do you size up Denver?
I'm really surprised that the odds are so much better for the Broncos to win the division than the Raiders. Not necessarily because of where the Raiders are at, but because of where the Broncos are at. I mean, so yeah, they brought in Teddy Bridgewater, but who's it going to be, Bridgewater or Locke? Who's going to be starting for that team?
I'll tell you who it should be. It should be Teddy Bridgewater. Doesn't mean that's who it will be. I actually see him as an upgrade over Locke. I know Locke is the younger guy, and maybe they don't want to give up on him, Michael. Do you agree with me? I mean, what would you do?
Well, I mean, so Bridgewater is, he still really hasn't had a whole, a fair shake for several seasons to show what he can do. I mean, he had a little bit of time there in Minnesota, but I think he's a special talent, or at least he's a threat that can do multiple things. Drew Lock, we'll see. I mean, he's still young enough to where we don't know for sure. The jury you could say is out. They got Jerry Jeudy, and hopefully they'll have Cortland Sutton. I think he was really injured, so we'll see what that can do for the team. But their defense is not the same defense that has been in the years, right?
Yeah. So they did improve. Probably they have the best secondary. At least they added Kyler Fuller, Ronald Darby. They selected in the very first round Patrick Surtain. They made Justin Simmons the highest paid safety, and of course they have those linebackers Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. But I think the biggest thing of what gives Denver the best advantage in this division is that they finished last year. So we haven't talked about the divisions at all, the schedule, but they play the NFC East. So the whole division plays the NFC East. That's nice. And then they get the AFC North. But most importantly, they have that last place schedule. So their 3 bonus games. Look at these powerhouses that they get on their schedule: Jacksonville, the New York Jets, and the Detroit Lions. Maybe the 3 worst teams in football, Michael.
Yeah, well, you're right. That impact of finishing last year division prior year in terms of how it affects your schedule, we're going to see over and over again how it can really help out some of these teams that had just an off year. So you're right. I think maybe that's what Vegas was looking at when they were trying to pick the odds for both the Raiders and the Broncos.
All right, it's time for the moment of truth, Michael. Let's do our predicted finish. I will start first this time. So I am going to go out on a limb and say the division winner is going to be the Denver Broncos. Yeah, right. Come on. Yeah, right. Once again, the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I think the Chargers, and thanks to the schedule, the Broncos will gain ground. I do not think Kansas City is going to win the division by 6 games again, but not enough ground. So I have Kansas City as, once again, the division winner. And I'm going to pick, even with the schedule, I'm going to pick the LA Chargers in second, the Broncos third, and the Raiders fourth. I think one of the hardest things to decide is, will there be a wild card team in this division? And I am going to say yes. And I am going to pick the LA Chargers, the only team that will be a wild card from this division. Michael, what's your take?
So I may have a little bit of a difference at the bottom, but no question the Chiefs will win this division. Even if they have a couple of tough injuries, I think they still come out on top. Maybe even the best record in the AFC again this year, although I think Buffalo is going to rival them there, and Baltimore could as well. I agree the Chargers will be comfortably in second place in this division. I'm going to go ahead and say the Raiders are going to finish third and have a couple of surprise wins. And then the lowly Broncos will finish out last. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say that the Chargers will win that last wild cards position. I just don't see the AFC South or East really producing, that. And so it's going to be up to the AFC North to see what they can do.
All right. What we like to do here, Michael, is talk a little fantasy. So we're either going to pick a player we think that will do a lot better than expected or might struggle based on expectations. I'll start off, Michael, and my apologies. I feel like I've been way too critical to the Raiders, but it's Josh Jacobs. This is a guy who I think has been a legitimate star. goal line back, gets almost all the carries. But here's my concern, Michael. We talked about how the Raiders' offensive line is going to be worse. In addition to that, I worry whether the Raiders will be behind more and they're going to be doing more passing. And they brought in Kenyon Drake over, who is going to be clearly the passing back, and he might even steal some goal line carries. So I'm sure that Jacobs, based on in the past, will be drafted pretty high, and you might want to wait a round or two. What do you think, Michael? Am I being too harsh on Jacobs?
No, I think you're right. I think that the Raiders are going to have to play from behind a fair amount, which could bode well for the receivers. But again, with with the plethora of receivers that they have, it actually could have a negative impact a little bit on Darren Waller, including with Matt Bushman coming in. I think he'll have a good year. So yeah, I guess it could have an impact on Jacobs. With the Chiefs having so much talent, this division is chock full of some fantasy players. But I think the place to go is to the Chargers this year. Both Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler, if Eckler can stay healthy, I think are going to have great seasons and should be kind of moving up the draft boards in terms of, I know Eckler has, consistently been drafted pretty high, but he's going to get a lot of targets again this year.
All right, Michael. So we're going to see how this AFC West shapes up. Don't forget to go into the comment section and enter your order of picks, and you can potentially win what we call the FFC experience. We're going to pick one player from each division that nailed it exactly, including the wild cards. And guess what? They will be able to meet Michael and I in a Zoom call and actually participate in the show. Michael, how much is that worth? What could we put that on eBay? Doing
it's priceless, Eric. I mean, just like unquestionably priceless.
All right, folks. Until our next show, when we break down another division, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Stay safe.